Number 1. Always at night.
Last night something scared the shit out of me. I don't know how to put it any simpler. Now, I pride myself on being a seasoned veteran in all things horror, as do we all here, but let me tell you, when you're witnessing fear firsthand, you really find out who you are. Let me give you some quick info. A couple of months ago, I moved to a new apartment. My old apartment was a hotel in the late 1800s. I moved out of there because I couldn't stand it anymore. The place was a shithole. I lived on the 3rd floor, and that creaky place used to moan at night. The floor squeaked, the windows howled, and you could hear everything all the time. But there was another reason I left. I left because I started to hear someone call my name in the middle of the night. At first it sounded like a woman, but after the 3rd time it happened, I wasn't so sure. It was always in the middle of the night when I heard it. It always woke me up. Whoever it was sounded scared, like they were calling to me for help. I slept with my door locked, and the voice would come from the other room. Now, this happened 5 times in total. Other than that, no weird shit went on. Half the time, I convinced myself that I'd just been dreaming. Until the last week I was there. It was on a Wednesday when it happened. Most of this stuff was in boxes and shit. My bedroom stacked with piles of assorted cardboard and packing tape. I climbed into bed around midnight, absolutely exhausted, and fell asleep instantly. 2 hours later, I woke up with a jolt as a pile of boxes fell over by the bedroom closet. My heart was racing, and I sat up in the dark, freaking out. I was about to get up when I heard it. It sounded like scraping or panting, like someone was sucking in air through ruined lungs. And it sounded like it was coming from inside my closet. As I sat there, paralyzed in fear, heart absolutely crashing into my chest, the sound went on for about 20 seconds and then stopped. I immediately turned the light on and practically ripped the closet door open. There was no one in there, but it wasn't empty. On the floor rested a single black rock. It fit in the palm of my hand, and when I went to pick it up, it was hot to the touch. It almost burned me, and it smelled like sulfur. Well, I freaked out pretty hard and got out of there. I spent the remaining 3 days at a friend's house until the move. I told everyone about the weird incident, but they mostly just laughed it off. They didn't think I was serious. Moving day came and went without anything happening. I got out of that terrible building and successfully transferred my belongings to my new pad. It was a much nicer place, albeit much smaller. I now live in a ground floor studio apartment that looks out onto an empty field. There's not much around the small complex, meaning we're pretty isolated out here. I've been here 2 months now, and the weird shit that happened in my old place has pretty much been removed from my memory. That is, until last night. Last night something woke me up. I managed to catch it on video this time. I feel like this is the start of something awful. I'll keep everyone posted.
Number 2. 10 days, 10 pills.
Day 1. I'm trying a new medication. My doctor recommended it. Said it would help with things. It's a new drug. It's still in testing phase, so they're putting me on a 10-day trial. Minimal side effects, really no risk, so they say. My doctor said I should document any changes I feel, good or bad, regarding my behavior. So I started this little diary. I feel kind of silly. I've never been the journal type. I just got home from the doctor's about 20 minutes ago. I'm about to take one of these little pills. I feel a little nervous, despite his assurances. I'm probably just paranoid, as usual. Anyway, here we go. Day 2. Well, I didn't sleep very well. I had headaches all night. The doctor said that was a possible side effect. Other than that, I haven't really noticed any other differences. I took some Advil around 4, and that seems to be helping. I'm about to make lunch. They say I should take these pills on a full stomach. I'm glad I don't have to go into work today. I think after lunch, I'm going to take a nap. I'm tired. My head has finally stopped killing me. It's funny. This is the second entry I've written today. Maybe I actually like doing this. Anyway, I'm about to go to bed. Earlier I ate lunch, took the pill, and then passed out on the couch. I had weird dreams. It's strange because I never have dreams. Anyway, it's almost midnight, and I need to get some sleep. I'm going to try to make the most of my Sunday and get an early start. Maybe go down to the lake. Hopefully it doesn't rain. Day 3. I had a weird day today. Everything was fine until I went to the lake. I took my pill around noon before I went. I don't know if that has anything to do with what happened. I don't see how it could. But regardless, the whole point of this journal is to record anything out of the ordinary while on this trial. So I went to the lake around 3. I brought my book and towel and laid out on the shore. It was sunny and warm, nice day. There were a few families there, mostly little kids and a few teenagers. Everything was going okay until I heard this horn. Now you have to understand, this lake is out in the middle of nowhere. It's a local street. You have to take this awful dirt road through the woods to even get there. But once you're there, it's beautiful. A year ago, some of the locals dumped sand along the shore and have kept it groomed since then. It's like being at a little ocean in the middle of the forest. So anyway, it's about 6 o'clock and the sun is going down, and this horn starts blaring from the woods. It's distant and low, rumbling across the water from the far bank. It reminded me of one of those old Viking horns. Bewildered, I realized that I was the only one who seemed to hear it. I looked around, tearing my sunglasses off. No one even blinked at the sudden noise. Well, after about 3 minutes, the horn finally stopped. After that, I decided it was time to leave. I started packing up my car and froze, one hand on the driver's side door. Across the lake, 3 figures were watching me at the water's edge. They were far away, too far to make out their features. It looked like 3 men, but I couldn't be sure. Something was wrong with their faces, but no matter how hard I squinted, I couldn't see clearly. Thoroughly scared, I pulled my door open and hopped in the car. As I drove away, I could feel their gaze in my rearview mirror. Day 4. I don't know what to make of all this. I'm going to call my doctor. I had more dreams last night. My head hurts. I took my pill a little before breakfast, but I'm wondering if I should have held off. It seems to make these headaches worse. I went to work today, but I couldn't seem to concentrate. I felt like someone was watching me. I feel like there's someone watching me now. I just woke up from a nightmare. I heard that horn again. I don't know if it was outside or in my dream, but it woke me up. I'm sweating like crazy. It scared the shit out of me. I keep thinking I see things move past my window. Day 5. Well, today was much better. I called my doctor and told him about all the strange stuff. He told me the headaches and dreams were probably just a side effect, nothing to worry about. He seemed skeptical about the other stuff, though. I told him everything, and God bless him, he listened to my ramblings. He assured me that it was probably just stress-related, but to contact him if it got worse. He reminded me that this wasn't an approved drug, but it was the best chance we had of helping me. I'm just going to suck it up. He said I just had to finish the 10-day trial, and then we could reevaluate. I'm halfway there. Day 6. More dreams last night. I dreamed something was sliding around my floor, like a shadow underneath my feet. Every time I tried to move away from it, it would zip back under me. I crawled up on my bed and it slid up the walls like a dark piece of paper. Right before I woke up, I thought I heard giggling under my bed. When I got home today, something didn't seem right in my apartment either. My closet door in my bedroom was wide open. I don't remember opening it this morning, but I guess I could have forgotten about it. I made sure to close it tight. It's 4 a.m. I'm fucking terrified. Something is giggling in my bedroom closet. I don't know why, but every ounce of me is telling me to just ignore it and it'll go away. I'm recording this to keep myself from going into full-blown panic. Day 7. I'm sitting on my couch. wondering whether I need to call my doctor or not. I don't feel good. I took my pill. I don't know why. I have this feeling that if I just make it through the 10 days, everything will return to normal. I called off work, closed all the blinds. I just want to sit in the dark and not fall asleep. My head is still killing me. Something is really wrong with me. I think there's something standing on my balcony. Day 8. It's midnight. I haven't fallen asleep yet. I'm on my couch. Haven't moved since yesterday except to take my pill. I can hear the horn again. It's distant, barely audible, but there. I think something is giggling in my bedroom. Day 9. I called my doctor today. I told him about all the horrible things that have been happening. You know what he said? He said I had to finish the 10-day trial, that I needed to, or they would come get me. When I asked who, he hung up. He seemed flustered, scared. What the fuck is going on? Who's doing this to me and why? I'm still on my couch. I don't want to move. Work keeps calling me, but I don't care. I just need to finish this trial, just to be done with it. I think there's something in my bedroom. I can't see it because the door is closed, but I can hear it. It walks around on heavy feet and then giggles. I feel like if I just ignore it, it can't hurt me. I'm fucking terrified, though. Day 10. Something just opened the bedroom door. I can feel it staring at me, but I refuse to look at it. I'm recording this to keep my eyes away from it. My heart is beating so fast that I feel like I'm going to throw up. The apartment is dark, but I can see the long black of its form out of the corner of my eye. It's just standing there. It's just waiting for me to acknowledge it. It's going to kill me if I do. I know it. It just giggled at me. A childlike sound ripping through the darkness. What 8-foot thing makes a sound like that? Why won't it move? What does it want from me? There's something behind me, too. I won't look. I won't look. I need to keep my hands busy. I need to focus on this, so I won't look. It sounds like there's 3 behind me. I just need to make it till morning. I just need to make it till the sun comes up. Day 11. I made it, I suppose. I don't even know what to say. I called my doctor, told him I finished the 10-day trial, and told him about the horrible nighttime visitors. Do you know what he fucking did? He started laughing at me. Big, loud, gut-busting laughter. Once he got himself under control a little bit, he told me that the pills were harmless. He told me the pills were Tylenol. I sputtered, mind expanding with possible reasons to this revelation and reaction from him. He started laughing again, and I asked what the hell he was talking about. He said the whole trial was bullshit. He said it was a little game he had concocted for me. He said there was no hope for me. He told me that a paranoid schizophrenic like myself, who suffered from chronic hallucinations, deserved to be in an asylum. He told me that there was no helping me, and he just wanted to play off my illness, really wind me up before recommending me to be institutionalized. I hung up on his howling laughter. My hands were shaking, sweating. I couldn't fucking comprehend it. I couldn't wrap my head around why he would do something like that. I thought I was getting better. The sane are an entirely different kind of sick.
Number 3. Christmas Land.
Christmas has always been a hard time for me. I've never felt the warmth of family coming together or the anticipation of opening gifts. I've never gone to midnight mass or experienced the thrill of sitting on Santa's lap and telling him what I want. I've never helped my mother make gingerbread cookies or gone caroling. But Christmas isn't hard because my life has lacked those holiday essentials. No. Instead, it's because of the memories that surround that annual celebration. The reminder of what I went through, of what I've seen. I'm getting ahead of myself. It happened when I was 6. I was living with my mother. My father was out of the picture. Just a hateful name on my mother's tongue. I never met the guy, and to be honest, I never wanted to. Why would I want to develop a relationship with someone who abandoned my mother and I after I was born? So, it was just the two of us. Two quiet souls, just trying to make the most of our meager lives. We lived in a small house on the edge of town. My mother worked 2 jobs and couldn't afford a sitter, so I spent a lot of time alone in the house. She made me swear secrecy not to tell anyone at school because she was afraid social services would take me away. Looking back, they probably would have if they found out, but they never did. And I spent a lot of time in a world of make-believe. I had to. We didn't have a television or even a radio, so if I wanted to escape somewhere, it had to be in my head. I didn't mind because I didn't know any better. I spun worlds and characters, imaginary friends, and silly things that little boys fantasize about. I'd come home from school, make myself some cheese and crackers, the kind of cheese you'd squirt from a can, and launch into my world of make-believe. I was a space warrior, a pirate, a soldier, anything I could think of. I'd run around the house fighting aliens or the enemy, shooting at them with imaginary guns or fighting them back with invisible swords. Eventually, the sun would set, and I would end up asleep in my room. My mother would come home around 10, check on me, kiss me on the cheek, and then rush back to her other job, which kept her busy until after 3 a.m. So you see, she didn't have a lot of time for me. She didn't have time to get us a Christmas tree or decorate our house or anything. Christmas was just another day for me. But God, I wanted it to be so much more. I got so jealous listening to the kids at school talk about their presents, the sleigh ride they went on, their visit to Santa at the mall. I became hungry for those things. I wanted them more than anything else. I wanted to play in the snow and come rushing back inside to a cup of hot cocoa and listen to jingle bells while I warmed myself by the fire. It was all so festive, so magical. Now, I'm not telling you these things for you to pity me. I don't care about that. I'm telling you this so you understand why I did what I did. And why I went to Christmas Land. I stirred in my bed and listened to my mom shut the front door behind her. My cheek was still damp from her kiss, and I knew she had just left to go to her second job. I rubbed sleep from my eyes and bundled up in my covers. It was cold, my breath pluming out before me. Mom must not have been able to pay the heating bill this month. As I tried to go back to sleep, my mind wandered. It was only a couple of days until Christmas, and I dreaded listening to everyone at school gloat about their presents and all the cool stuff they got. Buried under the blankets, I started to drift. The house was silent and dark. My bedroom door opened to reveal the barren living room.
Hey kid.
The voice shattered the serenity like a hammer on glass, and my eyes shot open. My heart began to race in my chest, and I tried to determine if I had imagined the voice or not. Mom had just left. I was supposed to be alone.
Hey kid. Come over here.
I sat up, breathing fast. I hadn't imagined it that time. It was a male voice, low, deep, but inviting.
It's okay. I just want to talk to you for a second.
Swallowing hard, I slid off my bed and tiptoed to my door. I peeked around the corner, trying to see through the black. Had Mom brought a friend over and left him here? I thought about turning on the light, but for some reason, the thought scared me. What if I didn't want to see whoever was out there? What if it wasn't one of Mom's friends?
Over here, by the fireplace.
I squinted towards the ashy, empty space against the wall. I didn't see anyone. I was a mess of trembling nerves as I crept towards where the voice had come, keeping my head on a swivel. I stopped in front of the fireplace, scratching my head.
That's better. I'm up here.
I jumped, taking a step back as the voice echoed from the chimney. As I settled myself, my mind began to spin. Who was up there? And how had they gotten up there? The only person I knew who went down chimneys was Santa. Fear subsiding, I knelt down and cocked my head up under the fireplace to look up the chimney. Dangling from the darkness was a long, charred hand. It hung motionless, like a dead pendulum. Long fingers hung like silent chimes. The skin was as dark as soot. The hand was attached to an incredibly thin wrist that disappeared into the black.
Hey, kid.
The hand said from no visible orifice. I just stared at it, mouth dropping open. What the heck was this? How was the hand talking to me, and what was it doing in my house?
You were pretty brave, not running away.
The hand continued, still motionless in the air.
Most kids see me and book it. Not you, though. You're a tough guy, huh?
I shrugged, still not sure if I was awake and listening to a hand in my chimney.
Well, let me cut to the chase. I heard you like Christmas. Is that true?
I told the hand it was, still unmoving. The hand continued.
Well, that's great, because I have a surprise for you. If you want, I can take you to a magical place called Christmasland. In Christmasland, it's always snowing, just like the North Pole. Not only that, there's also hundreds of dazzling Christmas trees like you've never seen. And Christmas lights all the way through the sky. Oh, they're beautiful. Christmasland is full of little boys and girls just like you. Doesn't that sound wonderful? Don't you want to see it?
I shifted in my empty living room. Curiosity pushing aside fear. That did sound good. That sounded like exactly what I wanted. As strange as the offer was, as bizarre a circumstance I found myself in, I felt pulled to comply. It was nagging in my head. A whisper behind the voice I heard. I bit my lip and thought about my mom. She wouldn't be home for a couple of hours. She didn't have to know. The hand swayed gently. I promise to have you back before your mom gets home. You want to see the lights, don't you? You want to play in the snow? That I did. And honestly, I was so desperate to experience Christmas that it didn't take much to convince me. I told the hand I would come, making it promise to take me back home before 3. It promised. Smiling hesitantly, I reached up and grabbed the hand, which was now opening its fingers. On contact, I felt something jolt through me like a quick blast of icy wind. I grabbed and I heard the hand whisper something to itself from the darkness.
Take us.
Before I could respond, the hand gripped mine, and I was lifted off my feet in a rush. Darkness blasted around me, and I squinted, my eyes watering. I could smell ash invade my nostrils, the chimney squeezing in tight around my shoulders. The hand never let go, and we just kept soaring up and up and up. Up far too long. We should have reached the end of the chimney by now. And then I audibly gasped as the light exploded across my vision, and heat rushed in and wrapped itself around me. I blinked, wind tearing my eyes. And I realized I was falling. I was falling fast, and the hand was nowhere to be seen. I started to scream, realizing I was falling towards the earth from high up, impossibly high up. And everything was wrong, all wrong. I expected to see my house, my neighborhood, a dark landscape below me, but what I fell towards was nothing like that. I fell towards charred earth and dusty mountains. I fell towards pits of fire and empty wasteland. I fell towards a mass of something wriggling and screaming. As terror poured from my mouth, hair slapped across my face, I saw that I was falling towards a massive net, dangling over the earth, filled with screaming children. When I registered what it was, I only had a second to cover my head before I smacked into them. My breath was crushed from my lungs, and I felt bones break under me as I made contact with the other kids. I felt my shoulders scream in pain, and I wriggled on top of the pile as hands reached for me, tried to pull me under, tried to get me off them. Faces stared at me, terrified. Tear-streaked faces, confusion and horror crashed together in my young mind like 2 trains on the same track. I didn't know where I was, what was happening, or what I'd just fallen into. I kicked at the hands grabbing at me, frantic to be free from their touch. There were hundreds of kids below me, most of them crushed and dead from the weight of those above. I rolled over and pressed my face against the mesh, looking below us. Blood dripped from the bottom of the net, and I could hear the slow grind of breaking bones in the air. And then the net began to move. I gripped it and pulled myself into a standing position, face pressed against the fibers, desperate to see where I was. The vision that awaited me still haunts me to this day. We were hanging above a vast plain of red earth. Foothills rolled below us, empty forests or foliage. Rock formations jutted from cuts in the dirt like emerging infections. Sharp angles and dangerous surfaces. Ash rained from a crimson sky, a constant curtain of never-ending flakes. It looked like snow. Walking across the expansive plains were dozens of towering, naked, sexless humans. They rose hundreds of feet in the air, all silent with eyes that looked glazed over as if they were asleep. They were rhythmic in their movement, order to their steps. They worked together, all across the horizon, bringing down nets and emptying them into colossal piles. Dozens and dozens of human mountains scattered across the horrific world. Bleeding cairns that screamed and howled in the wind. I watched in devastated horror as the children were emptied from the nets and tumbled down the piles, still fighting to get away. Even as they did, one of the enormous humans would come forward and kick them back, killing them in the process. When the piles were high enough, an enormous blazing rock was set at the top to begin a slow burn down the mountain of flesh. In a sick way, it reminded me of a star atop a Christmas tree, the orange and red stone lighting the pile with disturbing color. As it burned away the bodies, a thick black smoke wafted from the dead and rose up and up, high into the sky. My bloodshot eyes followed the dozens of plumes of smoke towards the heavens, and for a second time, my breath was robbed from my lungs. Stretching across the expanse of the sky, from horizon to horizon, was an absolutely titanic body. It was naked, like those below, but its skin was pale, almost white. Its hairless torso peeked in and out of the black smoke and cloud cover, winking down at us from an impossible height. Its head was bald, and its moon-sized eyes were closed and unmoving. Its mouth was a long line across its face, a pasty trench of overwhelming size, and it just hung above us all. Still, silent. Peeking around the colossal body was the broken remains of a destroyed galaxy. Half-lit planets and stars hung miserably across the vermilion heavens. Entire worlds cracked and crumbling through the solar system like blazing comets. And that's when I noticed something. I noticed the motionless body in the sky was absorbing all of the smoke and death through its nostrils, like black holes sucking in all matter. And the more it breathed in, the more it began to take on color. They were trying to wake this thing back up, revive it from whatever state it had fallen into. Before I could even digest all this, our net dropped and I was falling once again. I heard my voice join the others, screaming, howling. We were being emptied into a new pile of children. I hit the squirming mass with a thud and felt myself slide and somersault down it. Hands clawed at me as I tumbled, rolling further down, until finally I was at the base of the flesh mountain. The ground shook as one of the massive, sexless humans approached carrying a blazing boulder. Me and 3 other children began to run, hauling away from the pile as fast as we could. I didn't know where, but in the distance I saw spires. I headed towards them. The giant holding the boulder kicked at us, and 2 of my companions were destroyed instantly. Tears pouring from my face, I ran and ran and ran. I could hear roaring behind me, a great bellow of fury at my escape. I didn't stop. I didn't care that I couldn't breathe, didn't notice the burning in my throat as I inhaled ash and soot. The ground shook, and fire blazed, and hell was all around me. The spires formed definition, and I realized as I sprinted closer that they were chimneys, sprouting from the earth like broken tunnels. Hundreds and hundreds of chimneys of all shapes and sizes. Together they formed a field of stone and brick stretching for acres and acres. Nets hovered above them from spikes the size of skyscrapers. As I approached the chimneys, I noticed the children were shooting out of them like bullets, only to fall into the waiting nets. I didn't have any time to feel sorry for them as I reached the edge of the chimney fields. I didn't know what I was doing, didn't have a plan. I just needed to escape this nightmare. Tears rolling down my cheeks, I scrambled up the shortest chimney I could find, brick licking my skin and drawing blood. My ruined fingers dug into tiny holes and I pulled myself up, weeping, until I was sitting at the lip and looking down into empty darkness below. Sobbing, I said a prayer and took one last look behind me. The Titan in the sky had opened its eyes. Wind suddenly whipped across my face, and I was suddenly deafened by a great roar that shook the heavens. The giants below fell to their knees, hands upraised, as the very vault of the universe began to open and shift, shaking reality into an explosion of color and sound. Gripping the top of the chimney, screaming into the gale, I rolled forward into the open jaws of darkness. I fell. Down, deep into the long neck of the chimney, and listened to the world end and be reborn behind me. I fell until all I knew was darkness. When I eventually woke, I was laying in the middle of the road, surrounded by police, paramedics, and a very concerned crowd. Red lights flashed across my blurred vision, and I blinked back black. Questions rained down on me, worried faces that became jumbled to form a roar of noise. I looked down at myself and saw I was covered in blood and ash, my clothes hanging from my body in burned shreds. I fought against the paramedics trying to shove an oxygen mask over my face and screamed for my mother, fear and horror consuming me. I blacked out soon after. I awoke a few days later in a hospital bed. My mother's tear-streaked face staring down at me. Mercifully, she held her questions back. Instead, she hugged me tight and kissed my face, whispering her love. It wasn't until I was released a few days later that I was told what had happened. According to the people who found me, I had suddenly appeared in the middle of a highway 3 states over from my house and home. It was a miracle someone didn't hit me with their car. My mom took me home, and for years didn't ask questions. She knew something horrible had happened to me. I think she always suspected someone had come and snatched me from my bed and dumped me in the road. I let her believe that, despite the contradicting timeline. I never fully recovered mentally from that night. How could I? I witnessed something no man was ever supposed to possess memory of. I saw something that defied everything. Where had I been taken? Where was it now? Was it some distant future or some alternate plane of existence? And just what was that thing in the sky? And where was it now?